So, what's the big deal about probate, you might ask, which I've seen in some of the comments? The big deal about probate is really not a big deal at all if you love going to court. So, that's first and foremost. You are going to file a petition in the county of the decedent's resident, and you are going to receive a 22-page document from the courthouse that you have to complete. You have to know the decedent's family lineage. You have to notify the heirs, regardless of whether or not you are friends with the heirs or like the heirs. You must notify them, or any court papers that are issued by the court as a result of your filing are subject to being revoked because you did not provide the truth. You did not give them all the information. So you must list the heirs, even if the heirs are estranged, even if it's a couple that have been separated for 20 years and living in two different states, even if there's a child that the decedent hasn't spoken to in 5, 6, 20 years, they are still an heir. The communication among the family members has no effect on whether or not you are actually blood. And so when you pass away, the first person in line is your spouse. After that, it's your children. And in Georgia, it's your spouse and your children equally if you don't have anything in writing. So just keep that in mind. Everyone who thinks, oh, I don't need a will, I don't need a will. Well, just know if you don't have a will and any assets that you left behind have only your name on it, the persons who are going to inherit that asset will be your spouse and your children together. Even if your spouse and your children do not get along, which can happen in blended families, they now own this piece of property, the bank account, what have you. They own it together because you didn't put a plan in place. And you have to file all of this in probate court, and you need the heirs' signatures, their consent or assent to the petition. And if they don't agree to the petition, then the court is going to serve everyone. And once the court serves everyone, that's when the heirs come out of the woodworks. Like when you flash the lights on and what comes out from the refrigerator. That's when they come out and they go to court and they see that you filed the petition, and for whatever reason, they don't like you. They don't like the way you're handling it, or you actually did do it wrong. You didn't consult them. You didn't speak to them. You just filed this petition, didn't speak to any of the heirs. Then you went all the way to court, filed this document, and said, hey, judge, I want to be the administrator of the estate. Here are the heirs, and they agree. And they actually don't agree because guess what? You probably didn't even talk to them about it. And if you had a conversation with them, you might find that they might actually agree with you when they realize you can't really do anything with the decedent's estate unless all of you agree. Now, there are ways around that, but I'm not going to get into it on this post. This is about what is the big deal about probate. So far, you've heard what is the big deal about probate. That's the first hurdle you have to get over. So if it's just you're the sole heir, you're the sole child, you're the spouse, and there are no children, hey, go for it. It might just be a piece of cake. But that doesn't mean that your third cousin, once removed, won't come into court and file an objection. And it doesn't matter that the person who filed that objection probably won't win in the end. What matters is once that piece of paper, that little piece of paper that says, I object, judge, that's all they have to write. I object, judge. And guess what? Your case will now be tied up in court for anywhere from 6 months to 12 months to 2 years while you go through mediation, while you try to agree now because you filed that objection not knowing what was going to happen. So are you getting the idea here as to why probate is a big deal? So no, it's not a big deal if everyone gets along, but if everyone got along, we wouldn't even be here having this conversation. So that's why probate is a big deal. So keep that in mind while you're walking around here every day, not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow and not have a plan in place. So reach out to Grandma Estate Planning. Follow us for more. We are on LinkedIn, we are on Facebook, and we are on TikTok, trying to get to 1,000 followers so that we can do some lives. But that being said, probate is absolutely a big deal. And I love probate. I litigate and I also handle uncontested. Both sides are very interesting. But for those of you who think probate is not a big deal, you've never been to court. Peace.